Brought to you by DK Audio.
DK Audio presents How to Stay Sane in a House Share, written and read by Alice Wilkinson. For Lucy and Laura, permanent fixtures in all my homes. Introduction. The weeks before I broke up with my boyfriend Noah, his name has been changed like the names of others in this book, but all the stories are true. My mind was whirring with hazy projections about what life would be like. Dismantling our 2.5-year relationship meant leaving the one-bed flat that we lived in together. Of all the fears that consumed me on the brink of being single at 32, living in a house share again terrified me the most. 3 years earlier, I'd matched with Noah on Bumble during a bout of dating app doom swiping, lying in my bed in my shared house in Balham, London, where I was living with 3 others. I was 29, eager to progress in life, and I was acutely aware that because of the rising cost of living, meeting a partner might be the only ticket out of shared living. My house-sharing status fired up the same kind of blinding determination I'd felt when I was an intern, yet wanting to be a writer. I was in a house share, but I wanted my own place. It became a fixation that infiltrated every aspect of my being. I was furiously clambering the career ladder because better pay would mean I had a better chance of affording somewhere of my own. Every time a friend managed it, as so many were starting to do approaching 30, I felt a pang of intense jealousy, followed by sheer panic that I wasn't getting where I wanted to be fast enough. Lost, stuck, and rootless are the words I'd used time and time again to describe my feelings during those house-sharing years. Lost because it wasn't the life I'd seen for myself. Stuck because nothing had prepared me for dealing with the plethora of personalities and conflicts that rise in a house share. Rootless because as housemates and house shares rotated around me, I longed for a place that stayed still, one that I could nurture and invest in. At that point, I'd lived with 17 different housemates, plus a rabbit, in 7 different house shares, and I romanticised what it would be like not to live in one. When I fell in love with Noah, things moved quickly. In part, I think this was fuelled by my burning desire to make a home of my own, not one that I shared with people I'd met on Spare Room. After 6 months of dating, we moved into a rented place, just us. I skipped out the door of that Balham house share, giddy with excitement about having a whole, albeit small, kitchen full of cupboards to fill and choices that would be ours alone to make, no housemates to consider. By the time I was 30, it looked as though I had all my ducks in a row: a committed partner, a flat we shared, a job I liked. But there was an emptiness. I'd longed so much for my own place, and now I had it. I'd take huge pleasure in having the space and feeling the calmness of not needing to consider 3 others' lives. But then I'd sit in the quiet of our flat and miss my housemates. The connection, the support, the hilarity. I missed discussing work conundrums that only other females would get. I missed sharing bottles of wine on random Thursday evenings. I missed asking them for their opinions on my outfit, or borrowing a pair of tights when I discovered last minute all mine were laddered. Feeling stuck in a house share is all-encompassing. That 29-year-old version of me, fed up with the low-level tension that's ever present in a house share and completely fixated on getting out, never thought that there might be aspects I'd miss about it. But there were. I missed my housemates. I missed hearing their news, getting to taste their culinary experiments, being invited along to exhibitions that I'd never think to go to, exercise classes I wasn't brave enough to try alone. I had been more outward-looking, connected, and inspired then. In that 2-year sabbatical from house sharing, when I lived with Noah, it slowly dawned on me what I'd walked away from when I left that last house share. In those early days of our relationship, I loved living with him, but still, I had a niggle that I'd rushed into it, not fully savouring the house share I was soon to leave behind. My desire to progress had stopped me from feeling connected, grounded, and at home there. I hadn't allowed myself to appreciate how precious it was. House shares always seemed temporary to me. The people I was living with and places I was living in were stopgaps. Relationships and addresses I'd be in for just a year or 2 before I got on with the rest of my life. When that temporary stopgap became 10 years and counting of living in house shares, I knew I needed to change mindset. Because today we are living in house shares for a significant proportion of our adult lives. And yet there is a dearth of advice on how to make house sharing work for you. In a world of TikTok therapy and psychology influencers, we hear the impact romantic relationships, friendships, and family have on our mental well-being. We're taught terminology and coping mechanisms that help us.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?